I need to step out.
18 महीने के बाद what made you book that?
I would not use term quit. Degree कर ली and that's it. Rethink what I need to do next. The ChatGPT do not know your context.
So AI can ever replace this human coaching, these doctors.
Our biggest advantage in life is your health. In terms of my own personal satisfaction.
कभी ऐसा हुआ है कि सिर में दर्द हो रहा है, डोलो ले लो, पेट में दर्द हो रहा है, डोलो ले लो, हल्की सी हरारत हो रही है, डोलो ले लो. Because that is an important thing that has been happening in India. हमारे पास हर प्रॉब्लम, हेल्थ प्रॉब्लम का एक ही सोल्यूशन है, दवाई खा लो. But health is way more than that, and that is what we are going to talk about today. So, what's up fam? This is me Arya. Welcome back to Coffee and Unicorn. Today we are with someone who has turned personal tragedy into aspiration, and that aspiration into a startup which is way more than profit, growth and revenue. It is more about health and human. Welcome to Coffee and Unicorn, Ankur.
Thank you, Arya, for inviting me for the podcast. I'm glad to be here.
As a Coffee and Unicorn tradition, I'd ask you to introduce yourself, but the catch is you cannot take your name, you cannot use your education, your background, what do you do? No superficial markers. What makes Ankur Ankur?
So what makes Ankur Ankur is the curiosity and the inquisitiveness which I have for everything. I am on a, people call me a learning machine, and I love to learn about everything, whether it is health, whether it is business, it could be, how to even operate a camera, edit, music. So that's what in one line you can say defines me, or one word is curiosity about life.
So you did your education and आपने MBA भी किया है, उसके बाद you did some business administration का course from Wharton as well. And I see a lot of people on social media saying कि MBA is becoming more and more irrelevant. What are your views about that?
So I think to some extent I agree to this. And, myself, I've done my executive MBA, and I keep on interacting with, a lot of MBAs across my corporate career and also in my entrepreneurship journey. So I think if you have to see entrepreneurship from a perspective of why we need MBA, so definitely if you're doing from a tier 1 institute, so there are two things which you gain. First is you gain a network.
Right.
So this is where it's an irreplaceable thing, something which you can't buy. So you will only get access if you are part of that selected group from that institute. Second is, so in that context, it has value. Whether you're doing a job or whether you're being an entrepreneur, network is one of the very important pillars which can be a part of your success or help you to enable the success. And that can be exposure, that can be business, many team members, many things. Second comes in terms of learning. So in terms of learning in today's age of, I would say, over information we have, it may have a limited value. But if you're going to a tier 1 institute, there are some professors who have a lot of experience, in-depth knowledge about many dimensions, which again, you may not find that easily. So that extent it has value, but now that value is more secondary. The primary remains the network. So if you are thinking that you want to do an MBA to get a job or to learn something extraordinarily, great, I would say then that's not the right goal. If you are going MBA with a goal that you will build good network and you may get exposure through conversations and with a quality around you, then that may be a gain. For that is the right goal for going for an MBA.
Got it. I think this would be very helpful for people to understand. Do you really want to go for MBA, or फिर you are just going because maybe your parents are saying or your peers are going into that?
Yeah.
People need to know why they are going, where they are going, right?
Yeah.
And after your MBA, you worked in banking sector a lot. And we'll come back to that. But I think you worked with Australian businesses for over 10 years.
Yes.
Right. So, आपको क्या difference दिखा in Australian and how the Australians work, or anyone, basically any Western country citizens work versus how India works?
Yeah. So in terms of my corporate career, it can be split into 50% being in a conventional Indian business space. I worked in the financial services sector, And then next 10 years, I was there in the international business space. I was working with the Australian High Commission in India, helping Australian businesses who are looking to enter into India or expand into India. So, after, I had a certain level of conditioning, and I still remember that incident. It was in my initial 3 months when I entered. And, I had a meeting with an Australian business at, say around 10 o'clock in the morning. And I got late by around 10 minutes or 5 minutes. And as soon as I reached on that meeting started on a wrong note, because he pointed out to me that you can't be late for it, because I was waiting for you at the scheduled time, which was 10 o'clock. And as you can understand, we are used to that Indian, if we say 10 o'clock, we know that the person will reach by 10:15, 10:30, or meetings will not rarely start at that particular time. So that was my first, you can say, initiation into a different, culture, different mindset. And that was probably the last time. From that point in time, I made sure that I'm turning on time, whether it is an online meeting, an offline meeting. So that is I would say, the starting point of a different journey,
Right.
which has, kept me, some of those values with me till that day. And second, difference I found was that there's a lot of emphasis on planning. There's a lot of emphasis on processes. So we used to do a lot of events there, and that event planning used to start sometimes 3 months or 6 months early, even if maybe a networking event which maybe only 100 people are coming. But the planning aspect, that what will be the guests coming, when the invitations are going, when you are calling them, every dimension, if there is an event planner, if there are catering, so all the dimensions were very much planned and worked like an SOP. So there I learned the importance of emphasis on the process. And so that was the second aspect. And third, I would say, was their ability to differentiate when it's time to work and when it's time to have fun. And that transition is very clear. If those 8 to 10 hours they're working, they'll 100% concentration and focus will be around work. And once that time is done, if it is time for fun, there'll only be fun, there'll be no work discussion.
Okay.
So these were the three things: the respect for time, the process over outcome, or process first and then outcome. And third is the third is that aspect of
Work-life
work
balance.
and more than work life balance is their ability to switch off and transition. So we live in a competitive world. I think work life balance is a very subjective definition, but ability to switch off when it's time to work, you work. When it's time to have fun or non-work, then you focus on that. So that transition is still, I've not figured out. For me, it's like 24/7 being in my entrepreneurship stage. But these are some of the three things which stand out culturally and experientially, which is really helpful for me for life.
या लाइक जो आपने पहला पॉइंट कहा ना अराउंड द डिसिप्लिन ऑफ अराइविंग ऑन टाइम कि ये मीटिंग अगर इस समय शुरू होनी है देन इट हैज़ टू स्टार्ट. I personally try to be on time actually I try to be before time as much as I can. I might be running late according to my schedule, but my schedule is running 15-20 minutes पहले.
Yeah.
And if anyone is late, तो मुझे लगता है भाई does this person not respect my time enough, and I get very annoyed by it. इसलिए how my mind is working, if I respect you, I respect your time, and that's why if I am on time, that means I'm automatically respecting what you're doing.
Yeah.
Right. And
Definitely. मैंने उस दिन के बाद I keep my personal watch almost 5 minutes ahead.
yes.
So at least it gives me that margin of safety. I would put it. It's more mental. 5 minutes ऐसे dramatic फर्क नहीं पड़ता, but it's just a mental switch, which as a practice just I do to make sure I align to time in every aspect, whether it is a client coaching, whether it's a business meeting or an event. So especially which I'm organizing. So that's what I always keep in my mind.
Yeah, and what about the hustle culture? Do you think India में hustle culture को बहुत ज़्यादा glorify कर दिया that if you're working 18 hours a day, it's a very good thing. People are now flaunting, oh, I'm very busy, मेरे को बहुत काम है, and it's an unhealthy perspective. What do you think?
I agree to this. I've worked in corporate sector and run my 2 startups. So from that experience, I can say that the public definition or what we see in media, the definition of hustle is very, very shallow. So when it comes to hustle culture, I think what is the public definition or what we read in media, I don't agree to it. I think where we need to understand is that hustle needs to be put in the depth of work which you are putting in. You may be spending 14 hours, working like, 8 to 10, 8 in the morning to 10 in the evening, or say, midnight. You are doing in those, 10 to 14 hours. That's more important. You may be working 10 hours, but shelling out a very good deep quality work of 5 to 6 hours. Or 8 hours, or as much as possible from this, versus working 14 hours and having an output of 4 hours. I think that's where we need to shift, and in India especially, I think that mindset needs to shift. What comes from what I said earlier, the value of time. That if you have, that you need to achieve something in a time frame, then you plan everything, you think in depth on this, and that's where I think we'll have a bit. I would call that as a hustle, that how much deep work and quality work you are able to do day after day, versus thinking amount of time you're putting by the clock. So that's where I think the definition of hustle needs to shift from the number of hours to the quality and the depth of work, and that's where I think we need to change. Hard work will always remain as a first principle when it comes to anything of value which you want to pursue, but it's the depth where we need to redefine hustle, I would say.
Okay, so you worked in corporate for more than 20 years. Then you started your own company called WellCure, right? And then you went back to corporate. And like, what gave you that, courage ki after starting your own business ki ab mujhe corporate mein jana hai?
Sure. So that was a difficult time. Having spent 4 years in the startup, we reached a good milestone, I would say. But that I felt that I'm plateauing as a learning, and it was not reaching the heights in terms of my own personal satisfaction. And I felt that I need to step out, rethink what I need to do next, and I didn't want to start something fresh immediately. I needed that mental space to be there, and I was lucky enough that I got opportunities to work in one of the top venture debt companies who were starting their company in a financial services space, and I got to be part of their senior management. So actually, I was working in a startup only, and that company customers or clients were primarily startup ecosystem only. So I never went out from a startup space. It's just that I was more on the side of say a service provider or as an employee, but the space remained very similar. So I felt that is a great opportunity for me, that I'll get my mental space which I needed to think what next, yet remain in a similar space, so that I'm not completely out of a zone, if I may say so, an entrepreneurship zone, because I was working closely with the founders there. So the process, it kept going, and I learned so much in that 18 months I was there in that space, and I'm glad I made that decision. That helped me to transition back into the entrepreneurship space, and they were kind enough to encourage me, and they were very happy that that whatever time I give was very valuable. But they were even happier that I was transitioning back into entrepreneurship, and very encouraging.
Right. So many people talk about when you should come into entrepreneurship, या आप कब start करो your startup. People don't talk about when you should exit, right? They don't have exit strategy. So what is, like, you have done that in one of your ventures. मतलब what would you say कि क्या parameters होने चाहिए कि यार ये अगर हो रहा है ना So this is a good time to exit that place.
See, there is no, it will be very difficult to say that there is one, it's not a very objective decision, I would say, because especially, you're running a business. So then you can't, if it's not running well, then you will think that, I need to exit. That thought come very frequently, especially in the initial phases or the downward phase of any entrepreneurship which you are doing. So I would say, there are two things which you need to help. One, is your product market fit there or not? If you feel that your product market fit has not reached, if whatever you are serving to your customers are not giving you positive feedback, or that experience is poor, so that means there is some flaw in your product or a service which you are offering. And third is that, are you looking forward to each day outside, maybe the what sometimes you can quit even if externally the parameters are succeeding, but what is your internal voice which is coming? So I would say it will not be one dimension, it is the combination of all these three dimensions which is very important. If there is taken at least two, then you should think definitely that is it a time, and have you given your sufficient effort to it, especially if it is not succeeding in terms of the matrix. Have you given it a sufficient time to grow? And it's like a plant, you'll need to give that plant a sufficient time to grow before saying that seed is not right. So I would say, considering all these 3-4 factors, then you can take a call that it is time to move on. I would not use term quit, I would say time to move on to a next chapter, whatever you want to do.
And then what made you, 18 mahine ke baad, what made you go back into business?
Yeah, so I was lucky enough that I was in, one of my close friend, he was launching a venture studio.
Okay.
And there the concept was they were going to build multiple businesses. And he said that one of the first business actually I want to start is in a healthcare space.
Okay.
Because his father had undergone a cancer and he realized the value of what I had done earlier. So that's what it came from his personal journey as well, and also he felt that I am the right person because I had experience of health entrepreneurship. So he said that why don't you restart in this space, and that was, I would say, one of the good opportunity I got. And second was that by that time almost 12 to 15 months had passed from my last venture, and slowly I was getting clarity that which direction I need to go. So I was lucky that both of these things happened at the similar time space, and I was inching back to be as an entrepreneurship, and that's how this transition happened.
You don't choose entrepreneurship, it chooses you.
Definitely,
right?
definitely it does.
Okay, so you started your career in banking, and now you're doing something in completely different industry. Healthcare is very different, and you don't have an educational background in it. What led to this switch?
See, if I see my career, so 10 years I was in a conventional banking and a financial services space. The next 10 years I was in the international business space. So now I'm in the third phase, that is entrepreneurship space, and within that obviously I choose healthcare. So it started with my personal journey, and around 10 years back, around 2014-15, my son got a incurable illness. It's called urticaria. It's a skin allergy. So medically there is no solution except giving an anti allergy. And I went to different alternate therapies also, homeopathy, Ayurveda, but we were not getting any success with any of those approaches. And then we were lucky enough to get access or guidance of a health and a lifestyle coach. And Dr. Vijaya Venkat, she guided us to make switch in terms of lifestyle, the kind of food he was eating, his sleeping patterns and other habits, lifestyle habits, which we were following. And to our surprise, that within something which was not getting resolved for a year, and which was quite severe for a child who's aged 6 years, we were able to reverse that condition within a couple of months. And that was a pivotal point in our lives, that how can this happen, something which is medically not curable, not working through alternate, and it got switched due to those simple but very effective interventions. And that led me to on a path of educating myself, learning in these areas: nutrition, exercise, sleep, stress, all the dimensions which are there. So that became my passion. And when that became my passion, and then I got an opportunity to be in this space for my first venture. So I would say it started the entrepreneurship journey didn't start, or healthcare entrepreneurship journey didn't start due to my pursuit of entrepreneurship. It started with the pursuit of changing people's life. And that's when I got, started my first venture.
What is urticaria?
So urticaria is a skin condition wherein some allergen triggers. I'm just giving you a medical definition. It triggers an allergic reaction in your skin. So your skin may become red. It may have rashes at different points. It may have swelling. So like in my son's kid, he had swelling on his face. So some may have swelling in their arms, anywhere else. So because allergy medically means that it's we don't know what is happening. We just defining what is happening.
Right.
So you have a trigger, and then there is a symptom associated with it. So that is what an urticaria means.
And what lifestyle changes helped?
So there were 3 changes which they did. The first change was in his dietary pattern. He didn't have any fruits or vegetables, or very less in his, so that was a significant change which we added in his schedule. Then they recommended that his intake of dairy product is too high. So then they regulated that to a great extent during that journey. So that was the second change on the diet side only. Third, they said that his sleeping pattern needs correction. So although he was sleeping, like by 10 o'clock or 11 o'clock in the night, and obviously for school he needs to wake up early, around 6:30. He said that they said that children of his age is sleeping less. They need at least 8 to 10 hours of sleep. So you make sure that not only he sleeps slightly early, but he also sleeps when he comes back from school. So 1 or 2 hours there. So make sure consistently he's having 9 to 10 hours of sleep, because in sleep, lot of healing, cleansing, and a lot of body function happen. So these were the primary interventions which we did. And these may sound very simple, but I have seen the impact of just these 3 changes in terms of his fruits and vegetables intake, his reduction in his intake in his dairy, and third is his sleep pattern. These were the 3, I would say, pillars, and there were certain minor other changes, but these were the 3 big ones.
Okay, so this is quite personal, right?
Yeah.
And that is why you are so motivated to changing. Does the name the Pivot Health also comes because you mentioned in your response कि वो बहुत pivotal point था.
Yes, yes.
तो क्या नाम भी उसी वजह से आया कि दिमाग में subconsciously किया that my life pivoted, I want to change others' life as well.
Yeah, when I was starting, I was contemplating on different names. And I said that when you make any change in your life, so you, from that point in onwards, it happened with me. And what I'm trying to offer through my personalized, coaching service, or through educating people on health and lifestyle, I want that experience leads to people to pivot, to make a meaningful change, because we use pivot more on the positive side of things.
Right.
If your life pivoted, means it moved in a direction more closer or aligned to you. So, and I feel, health is something, if it changes positively, it is the biggest moat, biggest impact on your life, on anything which you are pursuing, which may be your business, job, your relationships. And that's where I feel that, by making or being a facilitator of that pivot, that's what a pivot, starts. And that's why if you see the V also, V means, it has two parts, one is going down and the other is the bar going up.
Yeah.
So, that change is the center of, that letter also indicates that change which we are trying to bring through our work.
This is like something, which will keep you going forward.
Yes.
And people will understand it better.
Yes.
Because I think healthcare is very misunderstood. As you mentioned कि बहुत ज़्यादा लोगों को misunderstanding है कि medical और health में दोनों में बहुत difference है. So what gaps do you see currently especially Indian healthcare में कि यार this is a misunderstanding?
See, we are one of the largest population on this earth, and we are also one of the most unhealthiest population when it comes to. See, there was a phase, I would say, the initial 50 years post independence. We were, developing. We started with a very low base. We were struggling with communicable disease. Mortality rates were, infant mortality rates were quite high. But now in, I would say, last 20 years, we have made a reasonable progress, economically, financially. The access to infrastructure and healthcare facilities have significantly improved. So now we have less reason to be unhealthy. So I think, that's where now we are approaching a pivotal point that we now need to change, because with our population and with our existing infrastructure, health infrastructure, it can't support a sick population. And it has implication not only on the on people individually, but the economy of our country. We are a young population demographic wise, and if that population is not healthy, then it will become impediment to our economic progress as well. So now where I see the biggest gap is, one is our public health system needs a change. And I don't just mean in terms of more healthcare facility, but that is very important for sure. But more, I would say, a preventive mindset is where we can make a larger economic impact what a hospital can't make. Hospitals are designed to help you if something has gone wrong. We will definitely need that. But our doctor to population ratio is one of the worst in the world. We have approximately, according to latest stats, 1,000, 1,200 patients are there to one doctor. It's not feasible. But that's where I think a good preventive mindset is important. And the biggest gap is we need to redefine what is healthcare. So one is, I would say, healthcare should be divided into two parts. One is the sick care, which we need. And the other is the part where the path to sickness or the disease is where we need to address.
That is what healthcare is,
Yeah,
right?
that's what,
sick
yes.
is something gone
Wrong.
a little wrong.
Yes.
And health is ki you are fine or you may look fine.
Yes.
But let's not let it go to that sick zone.
Yes. So I think in that, I would say we need to work on the screening part, make sure we have population level screening or at least individual level screening, those who can afford, to make sure you're able to catch lifestyle disorders, which is the majority reason for our deaths and premature deaths. So that is where we need to definitely make a shift, or there is a big gap there. And that's where at least we should start with people in our in tier 1 cities, tier 2 cities, who can easily afford, have knowledge and access to this needs to change. Second is we need to think that preventive healthcare, lifestyle, good nutrition, sleeping on time is a investment for your health.
This is quite important for people to understand, because at least I do my annual health checkups. Every year without fail around Feb, March, I'll get my annual health checkup. I'm not saying I don't know if it's enough or not at my age, but I do it. मैं सेम चीज अपने पेरेंट्स को बोलती हूँ. They're like करवा लेंगे, देख लेंगे. ठीक है, इवन इफ लाइक यू नो कभी कभी क्या होता है, यू आर नॉट सिक रियली, तुम बीमार नहीं पड़े हो, नथिंग हैज गॉन रॉन्ग एज सच और समथिंग इज नॉट नोटिस्ड, बट you might be having headaches frequently, you may be having weak eyes or anything like that, you may be uncomfortable in your stomach and you ignore it, चला जाएगा. इंडिया में ये भी तो है, अच्छा बीमार हो डोलो ले लो. Right, like tossing a pill, it's like tossing a pill.
Yes.
Right, and they don't do any course for it, self diagnosed, self cured and short term solution.
Yeah.
Right, they are not thinking कि यार, they are thinking कि चोट लग गई, अच्छे से बैंडेड लगा लो. They are not thinking कि अच्छा हम गिरे क्यों हैं, नहीं गिरना है. Right, तो that is what I have seen. And आपने बोला tier 1 cities के साथ शुरू करना चाहिए, but even tier 1 city needs this education.
Yes, definitely.
Right.
So, I think you rightly said. I think there are two parts to it, and I've studied this aspect and I thought about it, and I realized that why in India we think slightly different when it comes to some of the developed world. When it comes to our health aspect, कि हम pollution को, हम food को, clean food को इतनी importance नहीं देते हैं, but there it is very much emphasized. So I'll tell you why. The first reason is that our our life expectancy has risen in last few years. Okay, so we were in 60s or I would say late 50s when we became independent. तो अगर आप अपने previous generation देखोगे या अपने दादा या अपने parents और great grandparents, so they have seen people around them dying in their early 60s or late 50s. तो अब उन्होंने जो 60 to 80 वाली जर्नी है, 90 की जर्नी, वो देखी ही नहीं. So they don't know, because what you have a lifestyle and prevent, because body is a machine, is a great machine. When it's a, जैसे हमारी नई गाड़ी आती है, फोन आता है, वो perfect shape में होता है in the initial phases. So you can say it is, even if you are abusing it, it will hold on till your 50s and 60s. It'll manage, चाहे आप थोड़ी medicine लो या कैसे भी manage कर लोगे, but big breakdowns start to happen post 60s 70s. जब आपने वो देखा ही नहीं, तो then you will say कि हाँ तो ठीक है, मेरे फादर, मेरे ग्रैंडफादर तो 60 में गए तो वो ठीक ही थे, उनको एक हार्ट अटैक आया या कुछ गिर गए and then he passed away. But now people have started to live in their 70s, 80s. Now we are seeing कि अच्छा जो last 10 years होते हैं और 20 years होते हैं, it's a pain. You may be bedridden, you may be dependent on frequent, people go for dialysis. So many, disease start to happen. So those investment which you make in the initial phase, that then, gives you fruit at that point in time. So this is one reason why, since we have not seen, we don't see what is the value of that investment. Second is, जब हम अपना business run करते हैं या हम अपनी job करते हैं, उसमें हम we plan for everything which can go wrong. उसके लिए हम process बनाएंगे, उसके लिए हम लोग रखेंगे, but we forget that it's the same principle which you need to apply for your own life. And that's where I think there's a catch. We forget that, we are the one who is running our life. It's not, हम business में वो चीज़ apply कर रहे हैं, but not in our life. So this is one mindset switch needs to be there. Third is that as a society, we lack scientific temper. And we see this very frequently. इसलिए आप देखोगे WhatsApp फैमिली ग्रुप में वो फॉरवर्ड आएगा कि अरे ये हर्ब ले लो तो आपका वेट लॉस हो जाएगा, ये ले लो तो कोलेस्ट्रॉल क्लियर हो जाएगा. And we latch on to that, right? We don't evaluate whether it's safe for me, what is my context, because we lack scientific temper to question it. And we have an inherent distrust in a medicine or a system. कि अरे आपने बोला कि मैं टेस्ट नहीं कराते मेरे पेरेंट्स. तो I know people not only of our parents' age, of my age group as well. When I tell them, why don't you get tested? What they say. They say, अगर कुछ आ गया तो, मैंने कहा अगर कुछ आ गया तो, but वो तो है ही ना. In fact, if you're able to identify at early point, you will have opportunity and time to act on it.
Right.
So I think, that's where the biggest shift required is in the mindset. And then, and that can be done through knowledge, awareness at every level. What we are trying to do, that is great, and other people. but also at schools and in corporate sector they need to be aware, because that's where the cultural shift needs to happen, that preventive healthcare is not an option, it should be the part of your value system, then the big change will happen.
एक तो आजकल वो भी आ गया है ना कि हल्की सी प्रॉब्लम है, चैट जीपीटी कर लो, पता कर लो क्या प्रॉब्लम है, क्यों हो रही है, उसकी दवाई भी वही बता देगा. Do you think कि AI and especially pivot health में human coaching is a very big part, right? तो AI can ever replace this human coaching, these doctors? What do you think?
See, I'll give you an example which happened recently. So one of our clients, we gave him a diet plan, and the first thing he did was, he was a techie. So first thing he did was, उसने हमारा डाइट प्लान जो है लोड किया चैट जीपीटी में और उससे फीडबैक मांगा. सो द फीडबैक केम दैट in this diet plan your protein intake is less, and he asked this question to us, and he was honest enough कि मैंने चैट जीपीटी में डाला था. So now the biggest risk is that chat GPT do not know your context.
Absolutely.
So और health में वो risky हो सकता है. Okay, you may be taking advice or testing कि मुझे email लिखनी है, मुझे कुछ content create करना है, या some advice which is not like life critical, but this is life critical. If you're making a wrong decision, it will have implication. So then we explain to that individual that where you are at the moment, you are at a low protein intake. We can't suddenly increase your protein intake in one go. Your body needs to be prepared step by step. Second, you already have gut health issues. If we will give you higher protein, body may not be able to assimilate, and some of your gut symptoms may worsen over a period of time. So that is where I think, we need to learn that ChatGPT will not have context when it comes to health, for sure, because usko context nahi pata. And second is, every individual is very different. Now we are talking about personalized medicine and many things. So every individual is different. So ChatGPT is working on a data or a large language model, which has its own information, but it can't individualize it. So that is one big learning which we have. And we always say that human intelligence over artificial intelligence, that needs to be valued. And that's especially when it comes to health, that context is there. And second aspect is, when it comes to health, it is 70% behavioral change and 30% is the technical stuff, कि आपका diet का proportion कैसा है, आपकी exercise कैसी है. Because whatever that knowledge is not converting into action, it has no value. And that's where the human coach comes, because they are acting as accountability partner. They are helping you, guiding. जैसे हम Google Map होता है ना, उसमें एक जगह को जाने के शायद 4 रास्ते हो सकते हैं, बट हो सकता है एक रास्ते में ज़्यादा ट्रैफिक है. हम जब गाड़ी चलाते हैं वो डिसीजन लेते हैं ना यार कि अरे मैं ये वाला रूट नहीं लूंगा, इवन इफ इट इज शोइंग, मुझे पता है बीच में से ये वाला डिटूर ले लूंगा तो मैं जल्दी पहुंच जाऊंगा. दैट इज व्हाट अ कोच इज डूइंग. वो आपको रास्ता दिखा रहा है, और वो आपके जहां पे देयर आर एनी पॉइंट्स वेयर दे कुड बी ब्रेक डाउन एंड अदर थिंग, वो पहले ही उसको पता. एंड दैट्स वेयर इट हेल्प्स की टू गिव यू अ मोर न्यूट्रल and a view with a care.
I really like this comparison, because Google Maps को ये पता है कि आपको जल्दी पहुंचना है, समय कम देना है, समय का उसको पता है. They don't know that I am driving, I am a female, I'm driving at 7 p.m. then I also want to take a longer route but a safer route.
Yes, exactly.
Right? So that is where personalization भी health में आता है.
Yeah. So I think, and every individual is different. Their habits are different. So we have clients who are vegan also. There are clients who are non-vegetarians also. There are clients who are very frequently traveling. There are clients who live alone. They have less support to, make food and other things. So every individual has so many variations, which only a human can understand with their experience, that isko kaise handle karna hai and guide karna hai. The lot of people we get these days who are, Instagram and educated. So they'll keep asking, अरे आप ये बोल रहे हो Instagram में तो मैंने ये देखा था, ये वर्क नहीं करेगा, अरे उसमें तो ये बोला था कि ये प्रोटीन ज़्यादा लेना चाहिए, अब भी आप मुझे कम दे रहे हो, या ये सप्लीमेंट लेना चाहिए कि नहीं लेना चाहिए. So that unlearning is a process which only a human coach can do. So that is where, we see in context of today's time, it is a part of our challenge, I would say. So we use health technology and other things in our approaches, but we say that, we are human led, but technology, tech is empowering us to help us deliver.
They're just backing us, but human is the front, right? Philosophy of the pivot health also says website पे भी, and काफी बार आपने बोला भी है हमारी previous conversations में, thriving whole and human. What does this mean?
See, there's a concept, what even WHO at some point came up with this. It's called biopsychosocial. So what does this mean? That a human health or a human being has a biological component of its health,
Right.
that there is psychological component of its health and a social component of its health. So health needs to be seen with all these three perspectives.
आपने अभी मेंशन किया फिजियोलॉजिकल फैक्टर्स, बायोलॉजिकल फैक्टर्स एंड सोशल फैक्टर्स. फिजियोलॉजिकल और बायोलॉजिकल के बारे में लोगों को पता है. व्हाट आर द सोशल फैक्टर्स एंड हाउ डू दे कंट्रीब्यूट इन योर हेल्थ?
See, social factors means your relationships.
Okay.
Definitely that is one, dimension, means your family, friends, which is there. And then other part of social structure for a good majority of people, especially between say, 20 and 60 or working life, is also your workplace. क्योंकि आप वहाँ जाते हो, you are actually spending more time in your workplace than at your home. So that is also part of your social health fabric or health aspect. And then the third dimension is your any community. Community could be, you may be into sport, or you may be into music or any other, pursuit where you may have a micro, community where you may be part of on a frequent basis. So social fabric, has all these three dimensions: your friends and family, your work environment, and the third is your passion or any particular environment.
And how does that contribute in your health?
See, it contributes on two aspects. It is in your overall well-being, because when you have a negative environment versus positive and encouraging environment, you are at ease in anything which you are doing. They may be supportive of, say आपको कोई health का action भी लेना है, कि अरे मुझे घर पे ये खाना है, तो your family supports, right? Or anything which you're doing in a behavior which is in say a workplace environment, it is encouraged or helped. So this is one contribution to enabling those behaviors. What is that environment, whether it is supportive or it is working against you? So this is where it helps. And third is your expression, especially the environment at work and that micro environment. क्योंकि आपका एक क्रिएटिव एक्सप्रेशन भी है, वो भी आपके हेल्थ का पार्ट है. सो दैट इज हाउ दीज टू एनवायरनमेंट सपोर्ट your health.
What are some, habits, purposeful habits that we can inculcate? मतलब to anyone who is listening to this, what would you say कि भाई आप ये छोटी छोटी चीजें कर सकते हो for having a preventive healthcare वाला mindset?
So I would say, three things simple. I would say a formula for a preventive mindset. The first is that you screen and test yourself at least once a year, so that you have certain objectivity to your health. So this is one strategy or one aspect. The second aspect is your sleep and rest. That's most critical, because people don't understand, if your sleep and rest is poor, then your exercise and your nutrition decisions are impacted because of that. Second, the third element would be to keep your basics on meals simple. Have adequate amount of protein and micronutrients, means fruits and vegetables. And second is the amount of food you are having. That's it. If you're taking care of these aspects, your food is sorted. And third is exercise and physical activity. By physical activity, I mean how much you are moving in a day. So target 7,000 to 8,000 steps. That's very much doable and achievable. And exercise at least 3 to 4 times in a week. That's good enough. So these are the basics. These may be very boring. Sorry, I'm not giving any hacks, but this is the, if you can take it as a hack, that's the most preventive. So screening, have right basics on the nutrition, physical activity and exercise, and sleep. That's it.
4 pillars of health.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, so this round we call Devil's Advocate round. I think our Coffee and Unicorn fam is already aware of what is going to happen. So it's like, we are going to attack, not attack, but we are going to question you and what you're doing in Pivot Health, and from a devil's advocate perspective, and you have to defend yourself, because I am sure ki matlab there would be a lot of people outside this room in the world जो आपसे क्वेश्चन करना चाहते हैं in a more accusatory way, right? वो आज आपकी अदालत types.
Yeah.
So you are on the hot seat.
Sure. Looking
Let's
forward.
get started. You don't have a medical background. You have done no medical education. Why are you qualified to run a healthcare startup?
See, the answer is there in your question. So we are talking about healthcare. We're not talking about the medical care. So when it comes to health, you need to have a much wider definition. Healthcare has two dimensions. One is the sick care or the disease management, where some event has happened or you've crossed a threshold. That's where that comes. And usually we define that as a healthcare, but we forget, health is not event based. It's what you do day to day basis. So when it comes to that dimension, what you're eating, how you are exercising, how you are taking care of your stress and mental well-being, that comes under healthcare. And for that dimension, I have adequately educated myself on nutrition aspect. I am trained in yoga therapy. I am also trained in basics of nutrition and also in exercise science, as a personal trainer. So all those things I've educated myself. So I think, that's where I'll put it, and also continuously researching and working on the behavioral aspect. So that's where I would say we need to differentiate what dimensions we are talking about. And when we talk about healthcare, it means we should think that we are talking about which dimension of healthcare.
And why should people trust you?
See, obviously I've been running a healthcare in the ecosystem for close to 10 years. I've been coaching people on health, on lifestyle for last 10 years. Over thousands of people I have coached individually through e-learning programs, through cohort-based group programs, workshops. So that's how this is what experience I have of actually delivering those outcomes. And also, by virtue of running these two, ventures, I've interacted with people through my ventures, close to 30,000 in my first venture, and this recent venture, hundreds of people have reached out. So that experience I have of understanding the human behavior and also educating myself on those dimensions, that's where I feel I'm qualified when it comes to the healthcare aspect.
Kya Pivot Health is trying to replace doctors? Are you saying that doctors are not required, or what?
No. I would say the doctors and the role which we are playing, they're complementary roles.
Okay.
So doctors are required because if an event happens, I'm not qualified or competent to handle that event. I am only helping people that they don't reach that stage as much as possible, reducing the probability of that risk to happen. But if an event has happened, then the doctor comes into picture. So it may be through medicine, surgery, whatever intervention they do. So that is where the doctor role is very, very clear. And, our role is very clear. So it is how I see that what we are doing is complementary to what doctor is doing.
Healthcare में इतने influencers हैं जो YouTube, LinkedIn, Instagram पे जाके they give total ज्ञान. What are you doing different than these people?
See, first and foremost, personally, and as a value system, I believe that whatever I am saying or whatever I am claiming, that needs to be backed up by certain evidence. And if, science and everything works on what is the data, what is that evidence is saying. So all our preventive strategies, अगर हम कोई nutrition prescribe कर रहे हैं, diet prescribe कर रहे हैं, exercise कर रहे हैं, everything is based on certain research and a groundwork which is there. So I will not prescribe you कि आप ये supplement ले लो या ये hack ले लो, because I know that doesn't work. That may work anecdotally with one person. It doesn't mean it is applicable to all. So what we are trying to do different is, two dimension. One, whatever we are doing is personalized. And second, it is evidence backed. So this is where we are, we feel these are our foundation of Pivot Health approach.
So I can come and अगर मुझे कोई भी doubt है, I can ask you कि यार ये किस चीज के backed है? What is the evidence or what is the study behind it?
Yes, yes.
So you support that in fact.
Yes. So one is the study part and the research part, and other is the science part. So अगर मैं आपको कोई चीज बता रहा हूँ, so and that is very much core part of our approach, that we explain the why behind the action which you have to take. Because we feel if the person understands why, then they are on their own. We are not giving a medicine, we are giving a guidance.
Right.
तो अगर मैंने आपको उसकी science, why we are prescribing, what we are doing, अगर मैं बता रहा हूँ, then it makes a big difference in how it manifests. And we use technology like हम continuous glucose monitor use करते हैं, heart rate monitor use करते हैं, तो वहाँ से भी डेटा आता है लोगों के पास कि उनकी डाइट से उनके ब्लड शुगर पे क्या इम्पैक्ट हो रहा है, उनकी इंटेंसिटी ऑफ एक्सरसाइज हार्ट रेट में कैसे दिख रही है. सो ऑल दोज थिंग्स वी आर यूजिंग टेक्नोलॉजी टू गिव एविडेंस बैक डिसीजन. एवरी डीप हेल्थ एनालिसिस इज backed up by what your blood reports are showing. So that is how we approach things.
Okay, guys, this was Devil's Advocate round, guys. And yeah, you had me convinced there. Baki, the decision, we'll leave it to the audience, whoever is watching, and especially the people who are actually engaged with you.
Yeah.
So what vision do you have for Pivot Health?
See, my vision is very much clear that as a company, as a mission, we are on preventing heart attacks in India. Unfortunately, 1 out of 4 deaths in India is happening due to a heart event, a cardiovascular disease. That's one. And as per the latest data which has come out, now 50% of those events are happening before age 50. So that means a lot of premature deaths are happening. And as per leading cardiologists, researchers, they say that amongst the major diseases, heart disease is one of the most preventable disease in 80% of the cases. You may have certain congenial, birth defects or some accident happening. That will happen. Body is complex. But those 80% of the events, if we can prevent, that is our mission, that how we can prevent those premature deaths through our intervention, whether we are educating people or whether we are making people, life impacting through personalized coaching.
So why did you choose heart health? इतनी सारे fields में से, even in the medical field there are so many fields. Why heart health?
See, that was I spent 6 months when I was, starting what to do in my new venture. And I saw all around, when it comes to preventive healthcare, 90% of the people is solving a problem of weight loss. चाहे वो आपका gym trainer हो, चाहे वो आपका योगा टीचर हो या डाइटिशियन हो, तो वो सब एक ही प्रॉब्लम सॉल्व कर रहे होते हैं कि मुझे आप वेट लॉस करा दो.
Yes, I think India में weight loss has become equal to health.
Yes. So I felt that already there so many people are doing, maybe they're doing a better job, than what I could do. That didn't interest me. Then we have few ventures or few people who are helping on the diabetics, front. That's great. But then I felt that the biggest condition which needs to be, solved is actually heart health, and no one is paying attention to it. And second, which makes heart health very unique, is it's the only condition or major condition which has a fatality risk. What I mean is that if you have a heart attack, then the probability of death is say 10%, and in our country it can be even more. Because the access, the speed of healthcare, emergency care may not be that good as other countries. So I felt that it's a big enough problem. It's a resolvable problem and no one is looking into it. So why not work on solving this?
So you have an experience of 20 plus years in corporate. Now you have started your 2 ventures. मतलब आपने एक venture कर successfully launch किया. Then you went into this new venture, the Pivot Health, जिसके लिए हम यहाँ पे हैं आज. what would you say to the younger generation जो भी हमारी audience अभी सुन रही है and they want to start something, what would you like to communicate to that young generation of entrepreneurs?
See, what I would say is that understand that every entrepreneurship journey will be unique.
Okay.
There is no one template. तो हम क्या होता है कि हम देखते हैं कि ओके वी सी बिग नेम्स कि ऑन मस्क क्या कर रहा है या स्टीव जॉब, दीज आर लाइक मोर पोस्टर I would say boys when it comes to entrepreneurship. These are the first few names which come everyone mind. But we need to understand that every journey will be unique. So don't fall into कि मेरी भी journey ऐसी होगी, what we see in media या of successful template. Just understand that you need to find your own template, and that template will come through trial and error. So if you need to have a role model or think less about what product and service they have created. Think on the mindset which you can adopt from them. That would be my main advice when it comes to you'll have your own unique template.
And जो लोग corporate छोड़ के entrepreneurship में startup world में आना चाहते हैं, what would you say to them?
See, what I would say that be comfortable with an aspect that you'll have a lot of uncomfortable days in your journey, because when you're in corporate there is a structure. There is a business is being generated, you have funds, you have people, you have resources. But when and you'll have people to do some other jobs कि भाई you may have a team member कि वो आपके लिए कोई ड्राफ्ट बना देगा या कोई कॉल कर देगा या आप मीटिंग करोगे अरेंज कर देगा, little task. But when you start entrepreneurship, you are on your own. You are the only person responsible for every failure in the process. Every success is you can attribute everything to you. So you are owner of everything. So you need to be comfortable with those days. There will be days, multiple days, I would say, even with the big successful entrepreneurs, you feel that this is not working. I am not the right person doing it. Those self-doubt come very frequently. So be comfortable with this space when you transition from a corporate world to this, because in corporate world, that on the first of every month, there is some money which is hitting you. Here, it's a day-to-day thing. You may have a zero sale, but a lot of expense you are doing. So that is where I would say you need to be aware when you are transitioning.
आपने conventional businesses में भी काम किया, आपने modern startup में भी अब आप काम कर रहे हो, पहले भी Wellcure में भी कर चुके हो. What difference do you see between these?
See, I would say that both need to learn from each other.
How so?
So जो conventional businesses हैं, जिसको मैं अगर बहुत crude language में कहूँ, the धंधा mindset is there. So for them, every money they invest, they need to not only recover but make profit on each and everything. That mindset needs to be there with the modern startup ecosystem. So this is one thing. Now where the modern startup ecosystem can they can learn, the conventional businesses can learn, is ability to think in terms of processes and scalability and using technology in a right manner. क्योंकि वहाँ पे efficiency, the scalability को different dimensions से सोचा जाता है. So that is where I think the conventional businesses can learn, that how they can learn on the efficiency, the scalability, and also seeing things in terms of people management. Because now the modern startups जो हैं, उनमें most of the workforce is young, and they are dealing with their own set of challenges. And we know that we can't avoid that, and that will happen with the old or what the conventional businesses, that उनको भी उनसे deal करना होगा. So this is how I feel that these are the differences. One in terms of the mindset from the dhanda mindset, and the second is the scalability, the efficiency, and the technology aspect. So these are the differences, and they need to learn from each other.
Same. Different side of same coin,
yes,
right?
Yes.
Okay. After working in corporate for 20 years, more than 20 years in fact, what are few learnings जो आपने अपने corporate life से ली, जो अब आप pivot health को बनाते हो, you are implementing?
See, the foremost thing in any big structural organization is the processes. So I think that's what I learned in that. Even if I may have a team of 5 people, 3 people, क्योंकि वहां पे मैंने देखा कि वो स्केल क्यों कर पाते हैं या बड़ा क्यों बन पाते हैं, क्योंकि एवरी देयर इज सम स्ट्रक्चर टू इट विच दे पुट इन, कि ये प्रोसेसेस होंगे, तो यू मेक श्योर कि भाई फेलियर नहीं हो या प्रोबेबिलिटी ऑफ फेलियर इज नॉट देयर. और वो प्रोसेसेस एवरी डायमेंशन में है, नॉट ओनली इन देयर ऑपरेशन, देयर मार्केटिंग, देयर पीपल मैनेजमेंट. सो दिस इज द बिगेस्ट थिंग विच आई हैव लर्नड, कि वो स्ट्रक्चरल learnings you can even apply in a small business or a startup business. So this is the biggest learning I had. And second learning is that obviously in a big organization you have a lot of people around, so and I think one of the big factors for any success of any organization is the people, how you are able to handle, recruit, train and manage people. So I had my ups and downs in my 20-year journey. So whatever learnings I have to deal with people, whether they are your team members or whether they are your business partners or vendors, these are the two learnings, the structure and the people which I'm carrying forward in my entrepreneurship journey.
What type of people do you want in your entrepreneurship journey?
See, my biggest thing is the two aspects. The first is the value system.
Okay.
Because you can't train for values, you can train for the technical skills. So this is one thing which I make sure, not only with the people whom I'm employing, but also with people whom I'll be working. There could be collaborators, partners, vendors, everything. The second aspect I would say when it comes to the people is the learning mindset, the growth mindset. So now we are in an age where you can learn anything.
It's so very easy these days.
Yes. So if the person is not ready to learn, you maybe you joined as an intern or an employee, you should be able to learn how to operate a camera, because we are a D2C company. We have to create a lot of content, writing, how to manage social media. So learn the basics of what work which you are doing, human behavior. So that is the second thing which we look into, or I look into, that what is, whether the person has a growth mindset or not. So value system and the growth mindset, these are the two criterias. The rest all I think can be taken care of.
And like my father, so basically our grandfather passed away when my father was very young. He was not even living here at that time. He was in village and our native place basically. He came here and it was not in his mind कि उन्हें business शुरू करना है. And he did not know all these things. He started learning on the job. He started learning, and right now where we are sitting or what we are doing, it's all because of what he learned. And he is ready to learn it even now. मैं कुछ भी कहती हूँ ना, is like मतलब फोन चलाते हुए भी ये काम कर दे. He's like नहीं तो मुझे बता, मैं करूँगा तुम बताओ.
Yeah. And I think we need to make a shift that from thinking of qualification to education.
That has, I think we have started, because nowadays, even if I am doing some interviews in my job, I don't even see the resume these days. I have seen it, and I have seen people coming from architecture background to software engineering.
Yeah.
And they're wonderful.
Yes. So I think, that's where we need to differentiate whether the person is qualified or educated. So if they have the mindset for education, because now you can't say कि मैंने एक degree कर ली and that's it. It's a continuous learning till, whatever you can. That's when the career, whether it's a job or entrepreneurship, that needs to build. And as an entrepreneur, I think we need to learn even a little extra, because हमें बहुत variety of roles play करने होते हैं. Sometimes we are a marketer, sometimes we are a salesperson, sometimes we are, technical, expertise. We may need to understand the basics. So that's where I feel that difference needs to be there.
I think one thing you'd like to say to our audience, to anyone who is listening right now.
See, I would like to say that your biggest moat or biggest advantage in life is your health. So any pursuit you have, whether you want success in your career, in your relationships, health is something which is universal. It is applicable to all. So just remember that as much as goal you have for creating wealth, learning. Health is where you will make or break. So make sure that you keep it as a number one priority, a value system for you, not something which is a pursuit.
And guys, do check out the Pivot Health. I think it's very interesting and you should at least educate yourself. And if you find it interesting, you should also check it out, give it a go. Thank you, Ankur, for being on Coffee and Unicorn. I am sure audience has learned a lot. At least I have learned a lot about preventive healthcare and why it's important and how to go about it. So thanks for your time here.
So it was my pleasure to be, part of this podcast, and I'm glad that I can be, whatever I've shared, I am positive that will help people to get a new perspective and hopefully make a positive difference in their health or in their entrepreneurship life.
Coffee and Unicorn fam, this is all for today. Stay safe, stay healthy, stay tuned. This is Coffee and Unicorn, guys.